Hi there, Retro Games fans. This is Andy C from Pieces of 8-Bit. So I've been living with the Evercade now for 4 weeks or 1 month, and it's time to let you know what I thought about it. So as you all have seen, link up the top, I did an unboxing video about a month ago, unsurprisingly. And the Evercade VS-R, which was the new version of the Evercade VS, took over from the PlayStation 1 in my living room, and it's been sitting under my TV for that whole month, and I've been playing games on there, and I wanted to come back and let you know what I thought of it. Is it worth buying? What are some of the ups, some of the downs, yeah, do I think it's a good device, and is it worth the money? And with Christmas coming, it is quite an affordable machine. At £90, it's actually really not that bad. So if you want to go out there and get yourself going on the classics, and you don't want the hassle of get yourself set up with a Raspberry Pi or buying something else, the Evercade VS-R is going to be a good bet. So is it worth it? Let's dig straight in with a little bit of history of the Evercade just to kind of set the scene. So let's dive into that section right away. Okay, so the Evercade is a relative newcomer on the scene. It's been around since about 2020. There are loads and loads of different ways of getting back into retro gaming. If you're interested, obviously you can go out and buy the original consoles. There's the mini consoles that have come out, and if you've seen my unboxing, you'll have seen me get the reimagined Spectrum just in the last couple of weeks. You can go online. There's a big library of stuff if you've got online subscriptions for your consoles. A lot of consoles will play older games. You've got Raspberry Pi with the RetroPie build. So there's loads of different ways of getting back into retro gaming. The Evercade is a dedicated console for that, and it comes with the old concept of cartridge-based gaming, which is really good fun. And Blaze Entertainment, who are a British company who came up with the idea of Evercade, have really kind of pushed for this idea of getting the full proper licenses for some of the games, popping them on a cartridge, selling you the cartridges in lovely sort of game boxes, and allowing you to go and have a go. So as I mentioned, the Evercade, which is actually, this is the first version. So this is the Evercade. This is the other Evercade device that I own. This is the handheld. This is what came out in 2020. You can actually pick these up still second-hand. This one came boxed as new, actually. It was fantastic, and I didn't buy it all that long ago. So you can pick these up. They are fantastic little devices. Like I say, relatively inexpensive. That's one way of doing it. I do really like these. They bought what's called the Evercade EXP, which is a larger handheld, which sort of came after that. The VS, which was the first sort of TV set-top box type console, the old school type console, came out in 2021. And then the VS-R obviously came out this year. The EXP-R, which is the new version of their handheld, also came out this year. In fact, it's just come out just in the last couple of weeks, few months or so. So yeah, Blaze Entertainment basically are responsible for, they generally sell the games, they get the licenses for the games, and they'll put them on those cartridges, and there are loads. You could probably see them behind me hiding here. I've got a few. I've got a few more over here as well, which I'll show you in a minute, some of my top picks. So yeah, so that's Evercade. So like I say, a relative newcomer on the scene, only been around about 4 years, but they are really, really popular. When I tried to buy the VS-R, it was pretty much out of stock everywhere, and I had to wait for sort of a second run of the machine to be able to get it. And they are nice looking little boxes. They, the previous one was a different colour, more in this sort of style, but this one sort of got this grey and blue sort of neon effect, light effect on it. And as you can see at the moment, it's just playing Worms Armageddon in the background, which is a fantastic game. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the actual device itself, and yeah, I'll talk a little bit about some of the highlights and some of the lowlights. So the Evercade VS-R is an improvement on its predecessor. It comes with, I think the previous one had 4 USB slots as well. It comes with four USB slots, 4 gig of memory, a 1.5 gig processor, full 1080p HDMI output, and there is a caveat to that, which I will tell you about in a moment. It comes with 2 slots, so you can have two lots of game slots running, so you can see them both in there. So at the moment I've got the Worms collection, and I've also got the Bitmap Brothers collection in there, and I'll talk a little bit about the games in a bit, but needless to say, those are two of my absolute favourites. a couple of the sort of downsides with it. It comes with USB-C, which I think for a device that is coming out in 2024, I think it doesn't come with USB-C, I should say. It doesn't come with USB-C. I would have expected it to be USB-C. So the Spectrum, which I picked up this in the last couple of weeks, that comes with USB-C, which is a much more robust connection on the back. I just thought that the USB micro connector that comes on the back of this is just a bit old school, and it comes out really easily. So if you move the console around, the lead pops out the back and the console goes off. So I thought that was a little bit disappointing for something in 2024 to have that. That was one thing. My biggest bugbear, unfortunately, with the hardware is that there is an issue, which appears to have been an issue on the previous console as well, with the HDMI auto sense. So for those of you that don't have like a soundbar or any kind of AV system in your living room, this probably won't be something that you'll notice, or if you're going to put it on another television, it's not going to be a problem for you. I have a AV amp in my living room, which basically enables me to have 5.1 surround sound in my living room, and it's like a HDMI switcher as well. So all of the things like my PlayStation, the Xbox, the Skybox, all of those set-top boxes will plug into the amp, and then the amp takes a signal back to one signal back to the television. And also what's also possible is that if you're watching things through your smart TV, so say for instance you're watching like Disney Plus or Netflix, it's got this thing called HDMI CEC or HDMI ARC. You'll hear it called HDMI ARC. And basically what ARC does is it sends the audio signal back down the HDMI connection and allows you to play 5.1 surround sound from your television. So you can plug things into your TV and it will send the sound back to the amp. You can plug things into your amp and it will obviously do the 5.1 surround. And it's all very clever, and you connect it all up, and it's a technology that's been around for years. And the idea is when, say for instance, I switch my PlayStation on, the amp detects my PlayStation is switched on, and it will switch the audio source and switch the signal so that the PlayStation appears on the television, and all the surround sound already works. And that's working fine for my Switch, my Xbox. If I put Disney Plus on the television, it detects that automatically. It all works fine until I plug this thing in. Now, I didn't clock at the time that this was the cause of it, and at one point I actually thought my amplifier had stopped working altogether, because basically I wasn't getting any audio passback. So when I was watching anything on the television, which, you know, I've got a modern smart TV, so most things are better just watched through the software on the television. Couldn't get any surround sound with that. Couldn't get any surround sound, or couldn't get anything to auto detect, couldn't get anything to switch off automatically, couldn't get the sound to turn on automatically. Basically my amp essentially stopped working. And I figured it, I played around with it quite a bit, and I guess you know where I'm going with it. This was the cause of it. And I had a look online, and it does appear to be an issue with this. It didn't matter where I plugged it in, so if I plugged it into the amp, if I plugged it into the television, didn't matter, it threw the whole system out. And it was a real problem. And when I searched online, when I finally realised what the cause was, when I looked online, it appears to have been a problem with the previous generation as well. Now there is a way round it, which I haven't tried yet, which is something called a HDMI killer, which is like a little £9-10 device that plugs in, and it essentially blocks any of the kind of automatic HDMI signals in the device that's causing problems. So that could be a way around it. I might have to give that a bit of a try, because I did want to basically I did want to leave this under the television permanently, really. I wanted this as a permanent sort of go-to for retro gaming. So that won't be possible if I have to keep taking the HDMI lead out every time I've played on it and reset the whole system, because that's the other thing as well, is you have to reset the whole system for it to start working again. So that was a real issue. That said, I talked about that a lot. That is really, I suppose, only a minor issue. If you haven't got that kind of setup, it's not going to be a problem for you, as I mentioned before. You know, and on the positive side, you know, let's not forget this is a really good device, and it's got, you know, the dual slots is a really good thing that the VS systems support, which is great. You don't have to be changing the cartridge all the time. You have a couple of your favourites in there, which is fantastic. Each cartridge comes with a number of games as well, so you could have quite a lot of games just running off a couple of carts in there. The gamepad design itself is really nice. I like this. It's sort of retro style, but it's also quite a nice design as well. It's got shoulder buttons at the top, so you've got good selection of buttons on here. It's got a little button that you go to here, which will take you back to the menu. If I click that, you can see it in the background there, and you can pretty much get to anywhere from there. So if I just press sec on that. So yes, it's really nice. It's a really nice controller, and the nice thing about it is as well is that you don't have to use this controller. I mean, this is not a hardship. It's really nice. It's sort of retro inspired with that sort of rectangular size, but it's designed in a way that makes it feel quite comfortable. So it's sort of a good compromise between style and usability. So I quite like the controller. It's quite light. Obviously, it's wired, but in fairness to Blaze, they have provided a really long USB lead with it. The other thing as well is that you can also use other standard USB controllers in there. So I've got a PlayStation Classic with a couple of retro style PlayStation 1 controllers, analog controllers, digital controllers, and they work absolutely fine with this. They work really, really well. And in fact, I was playing Speedball 2 and Worms, in fact, with my son the other week on here, and yeah, it worked really, really well. So yes, controller wise, really, really good. Like I said, nice long lead, good design. So that's kind of the hardware. I'm just trying to think if I've missed anything now. Yeah, mostly good. You know, my verdict is mostly good. That HDMI thing is really quite annoying for me for my setup, but everything else about it, I'm pretty happy with. It is a good, robust design. One thing just to bear in mind, just before we kind of wrap up on this topic, is that yeah, just read the instructions when you get the device. So when I turned it on, when I plugged it in, I actually thought, and you'll see it from my unboxing video, I actually thought it was dead on arrival. You have to hold the start button, the turn on button, for about 8 seconds, which is very specific, before it will actually start up the first time. And actually, when you're turning it on, normally you have to hold the button for a couple of seconds for it to burst into life. So initially, you get a few problems. You know, you're like, why is this not working? If you don't read the instructions, that'll be why. And it'll do things like the light on the front will flash different colours. So for instance, if you're not plugged into HDMI, you'll just get like an orange light on the front if it detects that that's not there. And I wonder if perhaps using the HDMI sense thing actually might cause a problem with that. So just bear that in mind as well. It won't send a signal if it doesn't detect HDMI. And that doesn't mean the HDMI lead has to be plugged in. It's a software thing. So for instance, I obviously do my video. I've got video capture card. If the video capture card it needs resetting or isn't turned on, it won't detect that there's a HDMI receiver on the other end, and it won't turn the signal on. So that could be a problem with that HDMI issue that I mentioned before. So just bear that in mind. Okay, so that's the actual physical device itself. So what was it like to play the games on there? Let's talk a little bit about the games now. So I'll see you in the next section. What's the mark of a good console? Well, it is the gameplay, isn't it? It doesn't really matter how great a console is. If the gameplay's no good, then the console's not going to be any good. So it doesn't matter how pretty it looks or how good the controller looks or feels. If the games aren't great, the console's not going to work. So what are the games like? Well, the nice thing about the Evercade ecosystem is that once you've bought games for it, they will work on any Evercade, and there are loads and loads of Evercade devices out there now. So you've got, just to give you an indication, you've got the original Evercade, you've got the Evercade VS, you've got the EXP and the EXP-R, which are the two other handheld ones. There are a couple of little sort of retro-inspired, Game Boy-inspired little devices that you can buy for about £50. There's like an Atari one, and I think there's a Namco one, and you can plug their cartridges into the back of those. And most excitingly, they've also got something called the Evercade Alpha, which is a sort of it's a bit like the Picade that I've got, a bit bigger, and it's specifically for arcade style gaming. So there's a couple out at the moment, most notably a Street Fighter one with all the Street Fighter livery all over it, and the controls and everything else. So that looks amazing. They're quite pricey. I understand that they also take the Evercade cartridges as well, so you can play other games on that. So those are fantastic. So there's loads of ways of playing on Evercade, and all those cartridges that you buy will work on all the Evercade devices mostly. So I'll just talk about that in a quick second. So what are the games like for Evercade? And this I suppose, like I say, covers all of the Evercade ecosystem. Yeah, the games are I would say, very much a mixed bag. There are a lot of games. When it launched, there was 10 cartridges. That alone had 112 games. And there are some absolute die-hard classics out there. So you're seeing Worms Armageddon in the background there. A game that I absolutely loved. This is off the Worms collection. So it comes with a few Worms games. Weirdly not... This is the other thing as well, is that you'll find that sometimes you'll get like a cartridge like this with the Worms collection on. It won't have all the Worms games on, and there might be one or two that you expected to see that won't be on there. So we've got Worms Armageddon, which is probably my favourite anyway, so that's okay. And then we've also got Worms Blast, which is I think it's a puzzle game. It's not one I've played before, not one I'd actually heard of, if I'm completely honest, but a slightly different version of it. So you do get that little bit where you'll find a cartridge and it won't have all the ones that you like on it. I've got the Evercade VS-R, interestingly, that actually comes with the Tomb Raider collection. So that's Tomb Raider 1, 2 and 3, the original Tomb Raiders, remastered for the Evercade, and I believe that will work on my original Evercade. My original Evercade, however, came with this, which is the Namco collection. So it was part of the box, came with the box. This cartridge does not work on the newer Evercades, which is a bit of a shame. It only works on the older Evercades. I think specifically this Evercade. I think it's to do with licensing, but don't quote me on that. But it is a bit of a shame, because that is probably one example where you buy a cartridge and it'll only work on a certain device. Having said that, this did come with the game, so you haven't really lost out. But it's a shame, because you got Pac-Man on here, which let's face it, is obviously one of the greatest games of all time. So it's a bit of a shame that now doesn't work on the VS-R. There are some other amazing collections as well. So I've got a couple here. There's some couple of Commodore collections, for instance, which are really cool. The Bitmap Brothers, which is probably my favourite cartridge. So this has got some brilliant games on it. This has got Speedball 2, Brutal Deluxe, and Xenon 2, the Chaos Engine. So 3 absolutely amazing 90s classics on here from Bitmap Brothers. Amazing studio. But it's also got the original Speedball, and it has Speedball 2100. So I've heard of the original Speedball. I've not heard of Speedball 2100. So it's got, again, we've got some good games on here, and then we've got sort of a couple of extra ones that probably we've not really played or really kind of passed us by. So I think they do tend to fill up the cartridges sometimes with a couple of games. They'll say there's 7 games on this cartridge, and you might only really play maybe 2, 3 or 4 of those games. So that's really cool. Also got the Gremlin collection, again, which comes with some fantastic ones. So we've got Premier Manager 97 in there. So I'm not a football fan, but I love Premier Manager games. Actua Soccer and Zool. But then I've also got 3 other games which I'm not so familiar with. Hardcore 4x4 and Brain Bender are 2 games that people may be screaming at their screens at the moment, saying those are absolutely amazing. How can you not know what they are? But they must have passed me by, maybe. But again, this is a really good cartridge, though. Having said that, there are some absolutely duff ones, though, and I have to say, and this may surprise some of you, the Duke Nukem cartridge, not good. It calls itself 3 classic Duke Nukem adventures explode onto Evercade. So it's Duke Nukem Time to Kill, Duke Nukem Land of the Babes, and Duke Nukem Advance. I assume Duke Nukem Advance was on the Game Boy Advance, not a game I ever played. I played Time to Kill. I really didn't like it, and it's not a great implementation of it on here. So I picked this up secondhand from CEX. I went, oh yeah, Duke Nukem, brilliant. Yeah, I'll play that. Yeah, not a great cartridge, that one. So it really is a mixed bag. And like I said, there are loads and loads of games, and there are loads and loads of cartridges. So I've got a load more here as well. So let me see, we've got some Technos ones. The Atari one also came with the original Evercade. This one, I believe, does work on the VS-R, so we'll have to give that a try. I haven't tried it yet. And I mean, there's 20 games on there. I mean, there's just classic Atari games: Centipede, Adventure. We've got Food Fight, Asteroids, Missile Commands. So some real classic Atari games on there. The Tomb Raider games I already mentioned. They're really good, though. Having said that, couple of Mega Cat games and a couple of Interplay collections as well. Got things like where was it now? Interplay has got. I'm trying to remember where it is now. Where is it? Battle Chess. Yeah, Battle Chess and Earthworm Jim. There we go on the first one. On the second one, I was looking at the second one first. Oh, Earthworm Jim 2, and I'm sure there was another game on there. No, none that I recognised. And then on, I think it was on the Cats. Do I recognise any of those ones? No, I didn't. I just picked them up because the games look good. So, yeah. Enjoy new games from a classic era in our second Mega Cat Studio collection for Evercade. 8 games included. Yeah. So there's some good games in there, and I think there's also quite a lot of indie. So there's indie collections and things like that as well. So there's a lot of independent games as well. So it'd be very easy for me to just go, oh yeah, I'm going to write that off because I've never heard of it before, and I'm sure some of the games are absolutely brilliant. I forgot to mention Technos, which of course comes with Double Dragon. So weirdly though, this is the first Technos cartridge. I don't know if there's any other ones. It comes with Double Dragon 2 and Double Dragon 3, but not a Double Dragon 1. I don't know, make that make sense. So there you go. So the games wise, yeah, like I said, a mixed bag. The nice thing is that if you buy some cartridges that you really love, you can play them on, you can take them on the go with you with a portable Evercade, or you can play them on any version of Evercade that you've got, with a couple of exceptions. And I say with a couple of exceptions, it really is just a very small number. Just check that before you buy any cartridges, that your games don't fall into that. I'm only aware of the Namco ones that don't work on the newer ones, but yeah, that's the only one I can think of. Yeah, so that's probably it for gameplay. So probably just time to start thinking about wrapping up now. So I'm just going to talk to you just give a bit of a summary really, and talk to you a little bit about what I thought overall, and whether I think you should go out and have a look yourself. And I'll let you know also what's coming up in the channel. So I'll see you in the next section. Okay, so there you go. So we've talked a little bit about the hardware, a little bit about the history, a couple of little foibles here and there, and the gameplay. So it's been with me a month now. What do I think? Well, first of all, let me talk to you a little bit about what I've been playing. So I have been playing quite a lot of games. I think probably not as much as I expected, and that is in part down to that HDMI issue that I spoke about. So that's been a bit of a disappointment. It has been a bit of a blocker and a bit of a hassle for me playing the games, because I've had to, you have to unplug it and plug it back in and all those kind of things. So that's been a real shame, I think, really. But and I haven't played as much as I would have liked to, largely, and also largely down to time. But what I have been playing, I have really enjoyed. So Speedball 2, I had the second controller plugged in. I've been playing a lot of Speedball 2, playing that with my son, and we've been having a great time with that. That game is so good. I mean, it's such a fantastic game, right? Anybody who's not heard of Speedball 2, or so I don't even think I really played the first one. I only ever really played the second one. The second one is an absolute classic. It's so much fun to play. It's so silly, and it's just really, really good. I remember back in the 90s, I always thought it looked amazing as well. So we played a lot of Speedball 2. We've been playing Worms. I had a go with Tomb Raider. I mean, that's just like playing on the PlayStation 1 all over again. Yeah, really good. I played Tomb Raider 2 following the review that I did a little while back. I played a bit of Double Dragon, played a bit of Actua Soccer. So yeah, I've been playing quite a few games here and there. Haven't really played too much of the indie stuff. There are some bonus games, or there's a bonus game that I seem to have. I can't remember why I got that or how I managed to get that. I had to go with that. That was quite fun. I can't remember what it was called. What else have I been playing? I'm trying to think now. That's probably most of it. Oh, play Xenon 2, and Chaos Engine as well. So again, and the thing is, those games are already classics, right? So they don't need any introduction. That they're just classic games. But the fact that you can play them on here, on this device, if you haven't got the ability to play those games anywhere else, then this is a great choice. So Would I get one again if I had my time all over again? Yeah, definitely. I mean, it helps by the fact that I'd already got an Evercade, so I already had quite a lot of cartridges, which meant that I wasn't starting from scratch, which is great. A lot of the Evercade units will come with games, so if you buy the new EXPR, so the handheld one, that also comes with Tomb Raider. So you've got 3 games to get you started, and 3 great games as well, I might add. Tomb Raider 2 is one of my favourite games from the 90s. I love that game. Although it is frustrating, so make sure you've got patience before you play that. And we're starting to see a lot of the games popping up, a lot of the cartridges pop up secondhand now. So, you know, if you're in the UK and you know about CEX, you can go down to CEX. They've quite often got cartridges for sale down there as well. They do hold their value. Some of them are quite collectible now as well. So there is the Dizzy Games, the Oliver Twins collection. I think there's one. It might be 2. I think there's one. And they don't make that anymore, and that's really sought after, so that will fetch sort of £60-70 second hand. So it is quite collectible. You know, you can pick some of these games up now and they might actually be worth something, so you can hang on to them for the future as well. So it is a really, really good device, notwithstanding the issues that I had. I've really enjoyed playing on it. I think it's one of those consoles, unlike my sort of original retro consoles, this one is probably one that you will want to just stick under your TV and leave it there just to play every now and again. And if you see a cartridge, you know, the cartridges are they're not too expensive. The new one's about £15-16. So you can build up a collection quite quickly without really spending a lot of money. And like I say, each cartridge comes with quite a few games. So yeah, it is good, and I've really enjoyed playing on it, and I think it's a great bit of kit. So yes, definitely go and have a look at one if you're thinking about getting into retro gaming for Christmas. If you want something handheld, have a look at the EXP-R, which is basically the handheld version of the VS-R. That's really cool too, and that might give you that extra flexibility. One word of caution with the EXP devices. So this one, this might not be something you're even that bothered about. This one you can plug into the TV, so you can. It's got HDMI output on it. You can plug it into the television. And play it on the TV, which is great. The newer ones you can't. So if you want to play it on the television, that's going to be your best bet. But the cost of it, you know, it's not stupidly expensive. So could be a good Christmas present maybe. Okay, all right. So that's it. So I think that's probably all I'm going to talk about. I've probably bored you all to tears now. So definitely go out and check that out. So let's have a look and see what's coming up next on the channel. Alright, so thanks for watching so far. If you're still with me, thanks very much for taking an interest. Hope that was informative and useful for you, and hope that helps inform your decision as to whether you want to go out and pick yourself up an Evercade. So what's coming up in the channel? Well, we've got loads of things coming up as we get in towards Christmas now. So I've had a couple of busy weeks already. I've got my next racing challenge to do, which is racing trucks on the PlayStation 1. So that's Retro Ed Steve. That will be coming up as soon as I get a moment to do it. We will be putting a new console into the living room. So if you've seen my unboxing video, you'll know that is the Spectrum, which is, where is that? It's lurking around somewhere. I can't remember what I did with it. It's hanging around somewhere. But yeah, I'm really excited about getting on board with that, and I've already put some other games on there as well. So that's going to be living in the living room for the next 4 weeks. So really looking forward to coming back and telling you how that was and how I got on with that. We've also got an exciting Lego build coming up, so keep an eye open for another episode this week. Where I will be talking to you about how that's going to work. So it's a bit of a Lego Adventy thing to keep an eye on over Christmas. Yeah, those are probably the main things. Obviously, we're getting back into some other game reviews as we go, and I've had lots of exciting things going on in terms of some of the old technology. So I've been tinkering a lot with my Amiga, so I put a Gotek into that, which I mentioned before. I might well do a video on that, and I've also just recently add an addition to my BBC Micro to allow you to play games off an SD card. So I've just got that to work. That was quite challenging because it didn't work straight away for me. So that was a bit of a labour of love. And with both of those things, I'd quite like to talk about it through the eyes of a newbie, because there are bits of guidance on the web which you can kind of put together, but it's been quite, you know, like you might find that how to do the hardware bit, but then not be able to use the software, or vice versa. So I have struggled to, basically through forums and other videos and everything else, work out how to do all of that stuff. So I think it would be quite good if you're interested in any of those things. Do let me know in the comments. Yeah, I am looking to try and do a few more how-tos for those kind of things as well going forward. So that is it, I think, for today. So thanks ever so much for watching, as always. If you enjoy these videos, please do hit that like and subscribe. Yeah, probably just leaves me to say, take care of yourselves, and until the next time, I'll see you around. Bye for now.